Good morning and welcome to Spirit-Filled Warrior Ministries. Today's title is Marriage Covenant. So we are, going to discuss some things about marriage is a covenant because I noticed that there was like 5 people within the last 2 weeks that I've been hearing that's been having some issues in their marriage and they are willing to walk away. Some of them is reasons that they shouldn't divorce, while some, I could see why they feel that the way that they feel. So today I am going to go over quite a few scriptures because we have a lot to cover. We have a lot to talk about because this is heartbreaking. Within 2 weeks, 5 couples that is talking about getting a divorce or is headed toward divorce, that's something serious and it needs to be discussed. So whenever I make a lot of the videos, a lot of times I am talking to my brothers and sisters that's in the body of Mashiach, meaning the body of Christ. People outside of the body of, they just do what they want to do. They do things the way the world wants them to do things. Okay, they have their own system, their own way of what they do. They have no regards for Yahuwah. But us as believers, we should follow his ways. So if you have that attitude where you say, okay, I follow him, but I do what I want to do, then you're not showing him honor. You don't care. So therefore you are placed with the people who are non-believers. But for the ones who follow him, because his word says, if you love me, you'll follow my commands, then you're going to follow what Yahuwah says. Okay. His ways will be our ways. We're not going to contradict what his word says, because we know that his word is the final say so, and that's it. Okay. So first we're going to start with the first marriage, because a lot of people will say that they do what they need to do in their marriage their own way. But if you're a believer, it's not about the way you want to handle your marriage. It's how Yahuwah says marriage should be. Because after all, he is the one that created marriage. And the first marriage was with Adam and Eve. Okay. So we're going to go to Genesis, and that's chapter 2, verses 21 through 25. Okay. So that's Genesis chapter 2, 21 through 25. And it says, so Yahuwah caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and he slept. Then he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh at that place. Then Yahuwah fashioned into a woman the rib which he had taken from the man and brought her to the man. The man said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. Okay, so you see here, it shows that Yahuwah, he took, one of Adam's ribs and he formed a woman. He fashioned a woman just like the word says. The two became one flesh. And that's the same. It still stands today. You become one flesh. Whenever you come together intimately, okay, when you're consummating in the marriage, you're becoming one flesh. Spiritually, you are becoming one, okay? So it's not like you're like a Siamese twin or whatever, but spiritually, you are one flesh, okay? Because you notice that whenever there's any type of sexual intimacy between a man and a woman, there is soul ties that they have. And those soul ties are so strong. where if anything is going on with that person, a lot of times you can feel it because you're that connected. So see, as you could see, those soul ties could be very strong. Sometimes a person, if you don't break those soul ties from a person you were with before, you will find yourself thinking about that person just out of the blue, or things not going right in your marriage, then you probably would think about someone that you were with before. That's because you still have those unholy soul ties that's attached to that other person. So you need to break any unholy soul ties that you have with anyone from your past, because the one that you have with your spouse is the one that matters. Okay, that's the one that matters. That's the one that's valid. That's the one that Yahuwah looks at and that he honors. Okay. And so then I want to go back to 25, where it says, and the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. So reading that, that lets you know that in your marriage, that both of you should be naked with each other. And I'm not talking about naked as in, don't have any clothes on. I'm talking about transparent with each other, telling each other what you're feeling, what you're going through, what's going on with yourself, instead of just being like, like roommates. You're not talking to each other. A husband and wife should always, be naked spiritually with each other, because whenever you are, just connecting with your spouse like that, that makes the marriage stronger. Okay. Because you have to realize that in a marriage, it's just you and your spouse against the world. You two shouldn't be against each other. So you shouldn't allow the enemy to come into your marriage and slither in your marriage, and he will just cause division, strife, and confusion. And when that happens, that opens the door for so many things to come in, and then your marriage will be dissolved. It'll break down. It'll be a mess. Okay? Because that's what Satan wants to happen. He wants to destroy your marriage. Whenever couples are going through something, it's not because, they're looking at their spouse as the enemy. But there's an invisible enemy that's trying to destroy your marriage. Why? And I'm going to tell you why. Okay? So we know, like I said, Yahuwah, he's the one that created marriage. Okay? First marriage started with Adam and Eve. So marriage mirrors Yahuwah. Okay? Marriage mirrors the Godhead. Okay? So we know that there is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's three, right? And then in a marriage, it's Yahuwah, the husband, and the wife. See, 3 and 3, it mirrors. Okay? So we know that anything that Yahuwah creates, the enemy wants to destroy. He wants to destroy by perverting it and make it into his own, so that he wants us to worship him, and he wants us to forget about our creator who created all of us and even him. Okay. So he's a copycat. He tries to do the same thing that Yahuwah does, but he perverts it. Okay. Meaning he taints it. He makes it, he just make it opposite of how Yahuwah created. Okay. So that's why we have people with same sex getting married. That's why we have people who are, if it's a husband and wife, he tries to bring, like having the one of the spouse look at porn, which destroys a marriage because it messes up their intimacy. Because the disgusting things and the perverted things that they're doing there, they expect it to be brought into their marital bed, which will defile their marital bed. So whenever that happens, lust come in, and lust, you can't feed lust. It doesn't, you feed it, but it always wants more. So that's why we have spouses wanting their, their significant other to do those things. And the other spouse is like, okay, where's this coming from? Okay. And so it makes them feel violated. Okay. So now I want to go into the covenant part, okay? Because when we are coming together and getting married, that's a covenant, okay? The world wants to view it as some type of contract. And they bring these what do you call those? They try to bring in what is the one where they signed a prenup? Yes, prenup. They, want them to sign prenups, pretty much saying that even before the marriage starts, you already planning on, the marriage failing. So you already cursing your marriage right there, okay? But when you are in a covenant, that is something serious. We serve a Elohim he's all about covenants, okay? Just like he made a covenant with the house of Israel, right? He honored that covenant, but Israel did not honor that covenant, okay? They committed adultery, meaning like when I say commit adultery, like going after idols, trying to serve other gods that the other nations were serving instead of serving him and him only, okay? They would just not honor his name and not trust in him and turn to him whenever they were in trouble. Well, at first, when things were going good, let's just say, they'll be all good and then they'll forget about him and then they'll, turn away from him. And they were not honoring him. Okay. So he warned them in Deuteronomy 28 what would happen if you were to break that covenant. And we still see it today because they broke that covenant. We see what's going on. We see what's happening. Okay. We see, how, we're being mistreated. Okay. So I want to read Ezekiel 16 verses 8 through 14, and it will show you how there is Yahuwah, telling us about his covenant that he's coming into with Israel. And, when I'm reading it, you'll see how, it's kind of like that with marriages today. It's like the same thing. And you see that, like I said, marriage mirrors, how Yahuwah is. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 16 now. I have a lot that I want to cover with you all, so I don't want to forget anything. So forgive me if I'm just trying to think of everything, but I want to make sure that we all understand the importance of a covenant, because people are just getting divorces like it's nothing. They get married and they, it's like, okay, they're getting married, they plan the wedding and everything, and they are just like, okay, the wedding is over with, and then when it comes from for the hard part, and that's living your the marital life, on a day-to-day, they just, oh, I don't want to do it no more because I'm not happy. I don't feel the butterflies, anymore. So therefore, they feel like it's all about them. And when you get married, you can't be selfish. You have to be selfless, okay? It's denying yourself, because you both have to make some sacrifices. You can't be, selfish in your marriage, okay? You can't be all about self, okay? And just think, if Yahuwah was all about, oh, it's just me, and, not deal with us, we'll be in bad shape, okay? All right. So, like I said, that's Ezekiel chapter 16, verses 8 through 14. And it says, "Then I passed by you and saw you, and behold, you were at the time for love. So I spread my skirt over you and covered your nakedness. I also swore to you and entered into a covenant with you so that you became mine, declares Yahuwah. Then I bathed you with water, washed off your blood from you, and anointed you with oil. I also clothed you with embroidered cloth and put sandals of porpoise skin on your feet. And I wrapped you with fine linen and covered you with silk. I adorned you with ornaments, put bracelets on your hands and a necklace around your neck. I also put a ring in your nostril, earrings in your ears, and a beautiful crown on your head. Thus you were adorned with gold and silver, and your dress was of fine linen, silk, and embroidered cloth. You ate fine flour, honey, and oil, so you were exceedingly beautiful and advanced to royalty. Then your fame went forth among the nations on account of your beauty, for it was perfect because of my splendor, which I had bestowed on you, declares Yahuwah. Okay, so you see how Yahuwah took Israel and made them a people for himself, that though they were, what's the word I'm looking for? A mess, they were unclean. He made them clean. He dressed them up. He covered, their sin with his love. He shielded them. Okay, he protected them. Okay, and that's how a husband is supposed to be with his wife. When a man takes a wife, he should wash her with the word of Yahuwah. Okay, and not just making sure that her outside appearance looks good, but inside as well. Okay. He should speak good things upon her, speak the word over her, okay? Because we already know that, the verse that said love covers a multitude of sin. That's how a husband should be with his wife. And a wife should also be like that with her husband. Respect your husband. Just like with Israel, he wanted Israel to respect him and honor him as their Elohim, as their king. And recognize that he's the one who provides for them. He's the one that protects them. He's the one that covers them. And that's the same way how it should be in marriage. A woman is supposed to respect her husband. That's mainly what the man wants, is for the woman, his wife, to respect him. And husbands, you are to, make sacrifices for your wife. You are to cover your wife. Protect your wife, okay? You are the one that's head of the house. So you have to make sure that your wife is good, that she is covered. You don't go out talking about her to other people and saying how you're tired of her and, going around and running around on her. And I can say the same about women, because women be running around on their husbands too. But both husband and wife should respect each other, yes. They should love each other, honor each other, submit to one another. Don't go out. No one else should be brought into your marriage. The only one that's in your marriage is Yahuwah, the husband and wife. That's it. There's no room for no fourth, fifth, sixth person. No, it's just three. If you bring other stuff into your marriage, it's not going to work. And yes, I'm reading the word, and some people be like, okay, you're reading it from a biblical point, but real life, I lived that with my late husband. So I know from experience. And the things, and I know from the, a couple of videos ago when I posted a video about my marriage and what, me and my husband went through, you guys saw that it wasn't easy. But because I put my trust, my faith in Yahuwah, and I just submitted totally and completely to him and let him fix my marriage, I started seeing some changes before my husband passed away. And he was a difficult man. And the story about how he had a problem, with his addictions. And, I just had to just lay it at the feet of Yahusha and just let him just handle it. Because I saw that this was a problem that was bigger than me. Something that I couldn't, I didn't have no control over it. So I said, but I know who has control and who could fix this. So I had to come to him with a humble heart and ask Yahuwah to help me. Because I know that I love my husband. And more importantly, I love Yahuwah. And I know what his word says about marriage. I was in a covenant with this man. So I didn't want to go against Yahuwah's word. I don't care how I was feeling. I don't care that I was uncomfortable, in the situation. But because you know what? My relationship with Yahuwah is far more important, and I love him more than anything. So therefore, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. And I did my assignment. I completed the assignment as a wife. I honored that covenant. Even when my husband didn't honor the covenant, I did. And because of my dedication, because of my faithfulness, because of my love, Yahuwah, he turned the whole thing around. And that made me happy. And to see how he works, how he can change any situation, because nothing is impossible for him. That was the beauty of it all. And he did it for me. He could also do it for you. He could take the most horrible situation, an ugly situation, and make it beautiful. Where his glory will be shown, because his glory surely was shown in my marriage. I mean, when I just think about it, when I sit and think about it, it just makes me want to cry with joy, because Yahuwah, he was making changes. And I just can't imagine how things would have been if he was still alive today, and to see what else was he going to do. He, because before he left this earth, no, he wasn't perfect. He wasn't where, I know he could have been. But to see Yahuwah changing him, transforming his mind, softening his heart, he started seeing things that he was doing that wasn't right. He started, treating me better. Like I said, still had needed some work. But Yahuwah, he was doing it. He was changing him. Okay. So now we're going to go to Romans 7, and that's chapter 2 through 4. Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. I didn't even finish. Hold on. Did I not? Hold on. Did I? Okay, yeah, I did. I did finish. I'm sorry. Okay, so Romans 7, and that's chapter 2 through 4. So let's go to Romans 7. Okay, so Romans 7, 2 through 4. Okay. For the married woman is bound by law to her husband while he is living, but if her husband dies, she is released from the law concerning the husband. So then, if while her husband is living, she is joined to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband dies, she is free from the law, so that she is not an adulteress, though she is joined to another man. Therefore, my brethren, you also were made to die to the law through the body of Mashiach, which is Christ, so that you might be joined to another, to him who was raised from the dead, in order that we might bear fruit of Yahuwah. Let's break this down right here, okay? So I know a lot of people don't like this, but think about this. I'm gonna go over this again, and we're just gonna let this sit in your minds. For the married woman is bound by law to her husband while he is living. But if her husband dies, she is released from the law concerning the husband. Okay. So we see that there is people who might leave their husband, might leave their wives, but they're still under that covenant. And they go off and be with somebody else. But the word is telling us that whenever your spouse dies, you're no longer in that covenant. Okay? So the only way for you to go and be with someone else is only when your spouse passes away. Then you're free to marry somebody else. And this is again for people who follow Yahusha. If you live another kind of way, then this teaching is not for you. Okay? And as you can see, it's not what I think. It's not what I believe or whatever. I'm reading the word. This is what the word is saying. So you could go back and I'm going to put the scriptures down so that you can go back and read it and, meditate on it, study it, and you will see. Okay? This is not what I feel, or I'm just making this up. This is clearly what Yahuwah is saying. Like, this is, it's not, he doesn't honor you being in a relationship with somebody else when your spouse is still living. Okay? And it says again, so then if while her husband is living, she is joined to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. So you'll be an adulteress. And, I know that it was pointed at the wife, but it's the same thing with the husband as well. But it just so happened they was just talking about the wife. But, a husband, he shouldn't be going nowhere else either. Only when his wife died, he is free to marry. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to go to, let's go to Matthew 19, because now we're going to talk about divorce. Okay? Divorce. A lot of these people, they're divorcing and they have no grounds for divorce. They just saying that they're not happy no more. So now let's go to Matthew 19, 3-9. And this might make some people upset. But if you love Yahuwah, it doesn't matter. You're going to be like, okay, well, he knows what's best for us. So who am I to just sit there and get mad and question him, right? Because remember, our ways are not his ways. He has a whole different set of standards of how he likes things. And I said that in the last video. Okay. So that's Matthew 19, 3-9. And it says, some Pharisees came to Yahusha testing him and asking, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any reason at all? And he answered and said, have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female? And said, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore Yahuwah has joined together, let no man separate. They said to him, why then did Moses command to give her a certificate of divorce and send her away? He said to them, because of your hardness of heart, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives, but from the beginning, it has not been this way. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for immorality, and marries another woman, commits adultery. So let's break this down. Break this down some more. We gonna kind of break down this scripture here, okay? We're gonna break it down. Okay. Let's go to 7, where it says, they were asking him, the Pharisees, they said to him, why then did Moses command to give her a certificate of divorce and send her away? Okay, so this was what Yahusha, this is the answer he gave them. He said to them, because of your hardness of heart, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives. Hardness of heart. Hardness of heart is, I'm not happy anymore. She doesn't make me happy anymore. He doesn't make me happy anymore. I just don't, I'm not in love with him or her anymore. What else do people say? I'm going one way, they're going another way. We're just going in two different paths. They changed. Of course they changed. People change. Just as I was talking to my children, people, that's crazy if you just stay the same. People change. We evolve. We're not going to be the same like we were when we were younger. Okay? Physically, mentally, we change. But see, the thing is, when you're married with each other, you have to learn how to coexist. Okay? Okay, that person is changing. Meet them where they are. Learn about this change. Come to the table, talk. So you'll see, okay, this is how, we handle this. The only way that you have some concern is if that person has changed into something bad, and then you need to get down to the root of it and find out what's going on. Go in your prayer closet. Okay? But to sit there and just be like, I'm just not in love with them anymore. And we're gonna talk about love too. But love is just, it's not a feeling. Our feelings change. Sometimes we might like one thing and we might not like it maybe within a month. Feelings change. Feelings can be deceiving. We can't go off of feelings. Okay? When you love somebody, you're in it for the long haul. It's an action. Okay? We do things. If Yahuwah went off a feeling, we would be in trouble. He would turn his backs away from us. Okay? So we can't go off feelings. Feelings, no, that's not love. Okay? All right. And then it says what I said. And he said, because of your hardness of heart, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives. But from the beginning, it has not been this way. So at the beginning, there was no divorce. Yahuwah, he hates divorce. So people, they take that part right there and they run with it, just like they do all these other scriptures. They take a scripture and they run with it. And I noticed that when people say this little verse, they never put, but from the beginning, it has not been this way. They don't think about that. And see, that goes back to Yahuwah and the house of Israel. Yahuwah honored his part, but Israel did not, like I said. Okay? So therefore, it was like there was a divorce, because they committed adultery, going after other, gods, other idols. Okay? So therefore, there was a separation, right? But then, back when I read, what was it, Matthew 19, 3 through 9, when they, no, that was in Romans. So it's like when they came back, under a new covenant, that's when he was joined back together with the house of Israel, right? And so it's like the same with the husband and wife. When people separate nowadays, they feel like it was just a divorce and they just do whatever they want to do. But separation is not a way that you go and do what you want to do. When you separate, you're supposed to, when people are separating, which separation is not good, by the way. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now. Because the longer y'all away from each other and y'all get back together, it'll take that long for you to reconnect. So separation is not a good thing, okay? But whenever people separate, you shouldn't be going and sleeping with other people and starting relationships with other people. You find out what's going on. You still come together to talk about what needs to be discussed, what needs to be done. You pray about the situation so that Yahuwah can give you guidance, and, the Holy Spirit will show you what you need to do so that you guys will come back together. Okay? Because y'all leaving each other and just keeping it as is, it's not good. You shouldn't get comfortable in being separated from each other. Okay? Divorce is not a good thing. And for those who have been divorced, you know that when when people get divorced, it's not pretty. It's a horrible thing. It's a messy process because it's properties involved, children involved. It gets messy because it's not supposed to happen. Remember, it wasn't that way from the beginning. Because if it was something that he honored, that he liked, then it would be an easy process. But it is not. Horrible things happen. It's just because that's not how he designed marriage to be. It should not be a divorce. And you see, he said because of their hardness of heart, Moses permitted the divorce. Moses did. Yahuwah didn't. Okay. So now let's go to Matthew chapter 5, verse 31 through 32. Okay. Matthew chapter 5, 31 through 32. Okay. It was said, whoever sends his wife away, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that everyone who divorces his wife, except for the reason of immorality, makes her commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced woman, let me go back. And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. So I know people might not like that part, but I'm going to let you sit on that and think about that. Because people feel like that they divorced, they footloose and fancy free. But remember, that spouse had not died. So that's why it says that, but I say that everyone who divorces his wife, except for the reason of unchastity, makes her commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Because that spouse has not died. So therefore, even though there's a divorce done, they're still committing adultery. Just let you sit on that. You could argue with me about it, but I just read it. So you don't want to listen to what I just read and you have doubts about it, then you're going to need to go into prayer about that. Okay? And I'm going to just leave it alone, let you sit on that. But I mean, that's what I'm reading. I mean, unless you could tell me something different that I missed. Okay. But that's it. That's it. The word says it, and who are we to question it? Who are we to say anything about it? Okay. So just let y'all sit on that. Y'all might not like me because of what I just read. But remember, it's not about me. This is what the word of Yahuwah said. I'm just a messenger. Okay. I come with love. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just, this is not a judgment right now. This is just, I'm reading the word because clearly people walking away from their marriages and, they're doing it like it's nothing. Okay. It's just horrible. But as I said before, Yahuwah, he, the first covenant, they broke that covenant. And then there was a second covenant that was done. But as you can see, Yahuwah did not walk away. He didn't divorce them and that was it. You know what I'm saying? So it was like the marriage was repaired. And I mean, you see what I'm getting at? Marriage is a spiritual thing. It's not something that we're just acting and playing and just doing it just for amusement or because you don't want to be lonely or whatever. This is a serious thing. Before you enter into marriage, you need to really think about, is this something I'm ready for? Because marriage is not for wimps. You're going to go through some good times, some bad times. That's why in the vows it say for better or worse. And in my case, it was worse, then it got better. In sickness and in health. He was sick because of his addictions. Okay? Till death do us part, and my husband died. Fought the good fight. Yahuwah gave me strength. Because I needed strength through that. Okay? I did. I needed strength. And I couldn't have gotten through that if it wasn't for him. Just like whatever you're going through in your marriage, you can't do it without him. That's why in a marriage it's him, the spouse, him, the husband and the wife. We can't do anything without him. We need Yahuwah in our marriage. The ones who have kingdom marriages, that's the only way it's going to work. He's the basis. He's the source in the marriage. If he's not in it, it's going to fall apart. So if your marriage is having some problems, you're not going to him. You need to go to him, but you need to be selfless. Quit looking at you, what I want, what I need, what I, and just say, Yahuwah, show me, reveal to me, what is it that needs to be done here? Because nobody is perfect. We all have faults, okay? But you need to look at yourself too and see if there's any issues with yourself. I know I had to look within myself too. Because even though he had a problem, I had brought some issues into the marriage too, with my temper and not respecting him because I felt justified because of his addictions. But I had to remember my husband wasn't the enemy. There was an enemy trying to break him down so that he could break our marriage down and, pull us away from each other. Because he knew that both of us together, putting up a united front, Yahuwah's glory will be shown through us. And he's scared of that. The enemy's scared of that. He doesn't want that to happen. He doesn't want the light to shine in us for the Gentiles to see. For the, not so much as Gentiles, should I say, but unbelievers, should I say. For the unbelievers to see. And when they see that, they'll be like, that's the kind of marriage I want. Hey, what are you doing? Your husband treats you so good, or your wife treats you so good. And that way we could tell them it was Yahuwah, the creator of all. And just like he does it for me, he could do it for you too. We need to be that light that shines. We need to be an example for the world to see. We need to show them how a marriage is supposed to be and show them what a marriage is not supposed to be. Because what the world is saying how marriage should be, it's destroying them. That's why there's so many divorces. Because we're not doing it the way of Yahuwah, the one who created marriage. Okay, so I wanted to also, kind of just touch base on this whole adultery thing, because that's just destroying marriages as well. As I said earlier in the video, adultery destroys the communication, the intimacy. It destroys the whole basis of marriage. It's a violation, okay? It is a downright violation. When you bring another woman or another man into your marriage, you're going to cause all kind of problems. It could be you bringing in other spirits that person is carrying. You could bring in diseases, illegitimate children. Then you end up getting a divorce. Then you'll have to pay child support. You end up broke. It messes with your pockets. It messes with your mind. It messes with everything. And more importantly, it messes with your relationship with Yahuwah, because you broke that covenant. And we see how Yahuwah, when you break a covenant with him, it's bad. Because you see what happened when the house of Israel committed adultery against him. So just see, and you know, people known how they've gotten divorces and it wasn't good for them. Or they got caught cheating, the things that happened. People have died behind adultery. People have gotten hurt physically and mentally. The children, it's just a mess. And the other person, they sit there and they think that they did something good and this is a challenge. And I took him from her, I took him from his wife, or I took her from her husband. Yeah, that person was in their marriage and they're going to be held accountable for it, but you will too. So anybody that participate in trying to break up a marriage, you have to answer to Yahuwah for that. And you cursed yourself when you did it. All participants in adultery, you're cursing your life. So that's something you don't want, because like I said, marriage is a covenant that Yahuwah honors. He looks at that. He takes that serious. So you need to take that serious. If you fear Yahuwah, then take your marriage serious. So let's go to Hebrew 13:4. Marriage is to be held in honor among all, and the marriage bed is to be undefiled. For fornicators and adulterers, Yahuwah will judge. So Yahuwah will judge. Okay? And it says marriage is to be held in honor among all. It didn't say just by the married people, but among all. Like even the people who are not married to that person, you have to honor that. Leave that alone. That has nothing to do with you. Find your own spouse, okay? And the marriage bed is to be undefiled. When you're doing pornography, when you're masturbating, okay, you're committing adultery, you are defiling your bedroom. Because that stuff that they do in those porn films, that stuff, and you bring that into your bedroom, you are defiling your bed. You are making your wife into a whore, wanting her to do all those things to you. And a woman and vice versa. A woman want her husband to do those things. You're defiling your bedroom by doing that. Just think, if you are eating, let's just say I have steak and potatoes on my plate, okay? And the steak and potatoes is good. And I sit there and I'm looking at a plate full of shrimp and fish. And yeah, that looks appetizing. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it, and I got perfectly good food on my plate right here. But I want my plate, then I want the other plate, then I see something else and I want that. Oh, and that looks good too, and I want that too. You being greedy. And therefore, you putting all that stuff in you, you become full and miserable to the point where you probably just want to throw all that up. So just think what you're doing whenever you are married and you inviting all of this stuff into your bedroom. Lusting after, all of these other people. Men lusting after all these women. Women lusting after all these men. And sometimes they lusting after the same sex. Porn can bring that in, Because see, let me tell you the ugly thing about porn. It opens the door to demons. It opens the door to that spirit of lust and perversion. It could also bring homosexuality. It could bring all kind of unnatural things. And did y'all know, what I noticed is people who are serial killers, a lot of them, probably 7% of them had an addiction to porn. It perverts your mind. It twists your mind. Because demons work in gangs. So when you open a door, you're not just open a door for one demon. Several others come in. And that person will be all jacked up. So watch what you bring into your life, into your temple. Because you don't know what door you're opening. You don't know what's behind door number 1, what's behind door number 2, what's behind door number 3. You don't know what's behind those doors. You open those doors and they bring all kind of havoc in your life. The same with masturbation. They try to say it's healthy. No, it's not. A person could masturbate so much that they no longer have that natural desire that they had for their wife or their husband before. because there are demons attached to that. When you are just with your spouse, it needs to be just you and your spouse. You're bored with stuff because you're thinking about somebody that you were with before, or you're cheating with someone else. That's why it's only supposed to be a husband and wife, because you shouldn't even be desiring or lusting or trying to want something else. That's the ugly truth of it. So just sit on that. I know I'm looking at it. We almost in. It's almost an hour. But this is something that's serious. It needs to be discussed. People, take marriage serious. If you want to sit there and play around or whatever, then that's you. Okay? Obviously, you don't want to live for Yahuwah. Because if you want to run around and you're sinning like that, obviously you want to live a life of sin, so you're going to be turned over to Satan. Okay, that's just the reality of it. You just know that there's consequences to it. Do you want that? But the ones who want to follow him, take marriage serious. Your spouse is not your enemy. Satan is. He's destroying your marriage. Pray for your spouse. Pray for the kind of marriage that you want, the kingdom marriage. The one that Yahuwah said how marriage is supposed to be. That's the perfect marriage. Pray for that. Pray that that you start to have a marriage the way that Yahuwah designed marriage to be. Husbands, stand up. You are head of the house. You are the spiritual leader in the house. You bathe your wife with the word. You nourish her with the word. Your children. It all starts with man. It starts with you. Stand up and be a man. Be the leader of your house. And when I say leader, I'm not saying that he's bossing the wife around and treating her like she's a child. See, people get that twisted. It's not about that. Submission is not, oh, he could beat me and do whatever. That's not what submission is about. See, the world that twists that around because they want to destroy the way how Yahuwah, made marriage to be. Wives, be submissive to your husband. Respect them. Husbands, love your wives. Be kind to them. Love them. So let's go with what love is. Before I close this video, we're going to go with 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4 through 8. Okay? And it says, love is patient. Love is kind and is not jealous. Love does not brag. It is not arrogant. Does not act unbecomingly. It does not seek its own. Is not provoked. Does not take into account a wrong suffered. Does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with truth. Bears all things. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Bears all things. Believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails, but if there are gifts of prophecy, they will be done away. If there are tongues, they will cease. If there is knowledge, it will be done away. So let's go back to the part where it says, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. There will be some long suffering, whether there be a spouse with an illness, whether there be, it could be something with adultery, anything. You have to go to Yahuwah with that. Now, if your spouse is beating you, that's something serious. I'm not saying stay in that situation where you're getting beaten, but that's a matter where you're going to have to separate yourself. And you're going to have to come to Yahuwah for Yahuwah to help with that. Because Yahuwah could do anything. He can fix any situation. And even with adultery. I'm not saying, just sit there. Because it's diseases out there. And some of these people, they get crazy. They get obsessed with their person. And they could go and try to kill the spouse. So I'm not saying that. there is some instances where there will be a separation. But remember, I said you need to go into prayer and have Yahuwah to fix the things that need to be fixed, because he can fix it. Okay? So don't go out, because I know people like to do that. But what if? But what if you're missing what I'm saying? Listen. I pray that your minds and your hearts be open and yield to what I'm saying, because this not coming from me. I'm reading the word. Okay? So remember, brothers and sisters, to stay in prayer. If you're having any issues in your marriages, take it to Yahuwah. Okay? Make sure that he is the center of your marriage. Make sure that he is in your marriage, because it's gonna fail. It's not gonna work if he's not in it. Okay? So I say all of this with love, because I want to see your marriages thrive. I want to see you all having marriages, because remember, that brings him honor. When there's the husband and wife and the children, his glory is being shown in all of that. When families are coming together in Yahusha, it shows, how things are supposed to be. Whenever there is us coming together, and especially as a family, there's unity. Yahuwah brings unity. Satan brings division. He brings strife. He brings confusion. Okay? We are, our families need to be united. So I pray in Yahushua's name that everyone who is looking at this video, I pray that, your minds and your hearts, yield to this message. I pray that you just be selfless and not selfish, and allow Yahuwah to have his way in your marriage. Okay? I love you all. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please share this video with others. Anyone who that is having problems in their marriage, or someone who wants to get married and they need to know the importance, the seriousness of being married. That it's not just something that, if I don't like it, I'll just get out of it, like you do at a department store. You don't like something that you bought and you want to take it back. That's not how marriage is. That's not how Yahuwah sees marriage. The world might tell you that, but remember, the world don't determine where you spend eternity either. Okay? So we have to be mindful on, going to the word. This is, we get our resources in the word. Anything that we are having problems with, we need to, go into prayer, and we need to read the word. Okay? Because guess what? When you're reading the truth will set you free. And the word of Yahuwah is truth. Okay? So, if you like this video, hit the like button. And like I said, share the video with others. Maybe someone needs to see this and it will help them. It's an honor, being able to teach this. And I'm happy that Yahuwah put this on my heart, because I have a heart for marriage. Because, what I went through, and I just seen the beauty of it. And I just want others who is having a hard time to experience the beauty of how Yahuwah can repair and restore, a marriage. He could restore any relationship that is in his will. Okay. So have a blessed day, you all. And I hope that you enjoy yourselves with your families on Memorial Day. Take care of yourselves and be blessed.